Supernatural ran 15 seasons and killed everyone we loved. But Azazel building a demon army out of literal babies? Metatron throwing every angel out of heaven? Just because he was bitter? Some deaths hit differently. Some deaths felt like finally. Here's every person who deserved to die in Supernatural. Brady. Brady seems like a nobody at first, just another demon doing errands for hell. Nothing special, nothing personal. Then the devil you know drops the actual truth on you, and suddenly he's so much worse. This guy was embedded in Sam's Stanford life the whole time. He introduced Sam to Jessica on purpose, built their friendship from scratch, and then killed her on Azazel's orders just to drag Sam back into hunting. That's not just murder, that's emotional construction, tearing someone's entire future down brick by brick and calling it strategy. And Brady doesn't even retire after that. He's still out there working the Niveus angle during Pestilence's virus plan, actively helping end the world. So when Sam finally gets his hands on him, it's not just monster cleanup. It's Sam collecting a very specific debt, one that's been sitting unpaid since the pilot, since the ceiling, since the fire. That kill was personal, and it absolutely should have been. Gordon Walker. Gordon starts out as someone you can almost understand. He's intense, he's experienced. He's got a tragic backstory with a sister turned vampire, and for a minute it tracks. Then the mask comes off completely, and what's underneath is genuinely ugly. He kills the psychic Scott Carey and Hunted just because the guy exists near the wrong category. He decides Sam is a monster and locks in on that idea so hard that no amount of evidence can touch it. By fresh blood, he's been turned into a vampire himself, and you'd think that would be the moment of reckoning, the moment he finally gets it. Instead, he leans in, still stalking Sam, still calling it justice, now doing it with actual fangs while planning a murder-suicide and describing it like he's doing everyone a favor. The show is so precise about what Gordon represents. He didn't fall into fanaticism by accident. He chose it over and over every time reality gave him an exit, and he walked back in. Sam finishing him with barbed wire in that dark house isn't tragic. It's the natural endpoint of a man who turned his grief into a weapon and aimed it at the wrong people for years. Ruby. Ruby never beats anyone with brute force. That's not her game. She wins by finding the exact crack in someone's foundation and pressing until the whole thing gives. With Sam, it's grief over Dean, guilt, the desperate need to feel like he can actually do something, and she works every single one of those angles with surgical patience. She gets him on demon blood. She's there every time his resolve slips. She makes herself indispensable. And then Lucifer Rising happens and she just tells him, flat out admits she was loyal to the plan the whole time. That every moment of closeness and every midnight conversation was a performance designed to walk him into killing Lilith and breaking the final seal. That's the thing that makes her death so satisfying. plenty of characters betray the Winchesters. Ruby weaponized their trust so completely that her death doesn't feel like vengeance. It feels like the show cutting a wire that's been live since season 4. Sam holding her while Dean drives the blade in is one of those moments that lands exactly as hard as it needs to. The apocalypse has a lot of parents, but Ruby did some serious midwifing. Lilith. Lilith deserved to die so badly that the show attached a world-ending consequence to it, which is honestly the most supernatural thing that's ever happened. And no rest for the wicked, she's wearing a little girl's body, she's sitting in a suburban kitchen, being cheerful and horrible. And then she lets the hellhounds in, and Dean dies screaming while Sam can't do anything but watch. That scene is burned into fandom memory for a reason. And after that, Lilith just keeps going. Breaking seals, running the apocalypse operation, working with Ruby to position Sam exactly where hell needs him. The childlike vessel thing isn't incidental either. It's a choice. She uses innocence as armor and weaponizes the discomfort it creates. So yes, Sam vaporizing her in Lucifer Rising opens Lucifer's cage and makes everything catastrophically worse. The show made her death a trap, but morally she was absolutely done, and the bill was absolutely overdue. Zachariah. Zachariah gets underrated as a villain because he's so watchable and so funny, and that's exactly what makes him so rotten. He is bureaucratic evil at its most refined. He gives Dean stage 4 stomach cancer, and it's a terrible life. Just to prove a point, he resurrects Adam and uses him as a pressure tactic when Dean won't say yes to Michael. In Point of No Return, he's making Sam and Adam cough blood right in front of Dean, standing there with that little satisfied smile like causing suffering is just a management technique he's particularly fond of. And he always has the language of duty around it. He's not cruel, he's necessary. He's not sadistic, he's practical. That gap between what he says and what he actually is doing is what makes him so genuinely disgusting to watch. When Dean finally gets close enough and puts an angel blade through him, the release in that moment is real. It's not the biggest death on the show, it's one of the most satisfying. Alistair. Alistair is the show getting very specific about what it means to cause lasting damage. He tortured John in hell for years. Then Dean arrives and Alistair makes him the same offer every single day for 30 years of hell time: pick up the knife or stay on the rack. Dean holds out until he doesn't, and the moment he breaks and starts torturing other souls is the exact moment the first seal shatters. That's not backstory, that's Alistair being personally, directly responsible for one of Dean's most defining traumas and for the apocalypse gaining its first real momentum. On the head of a pin makes it even more layered because the angels drag a barely functional Dean in to torture Alistair for information, and even locked inside a devil's trap, Alistair keeps working, keeps pulling on every psychological wound he knows is there. Keeps performing. His death doesn't feel like a dramatic villain exit. It feels like the universe removing a source of contamination that's been spreading since Dean's first night in hell. Abaddon. Abaddon doesn't just attack the Winchesters. She attacks the infrastructure around them. She shows up and as time goes by and massacres the men of letters in 1958, kills Henry Winchester, and turns what should have been a generational network of knowledge and defense into another ruin. Sam and Dean find out too late. Then she comes back in the present with zero grief and zero agenda beyond dominance. She starts voiding Crowley's contracts and collecting souls ahead of schedule in King of the Damned, basically converting damnation into an express lane because waiting around for souls to arrive naturally is too slow for her. There's no tragedy to Abaddon. There's no moment where you get a glimpse of something else underneath. She is a knight of hell who sees everything, people, systems, history, as inventory to be controlled or destroyed. Dean killing her with the first blade doesn't feel morally complicated for even a second. It feels like closing a tab that should have been closed much earlier. Dick Roman. Dick Roman is the show's sharpest version of mass predation, and the sharpest version of the joke that comes with that name, and the show absolutely knows it. Most supernatural villains kill because they're monsters, or demons operating on instinct or ancient grievance. Dick kills with boardroom confidence and a content strategy. He takes over a corporation, he has Bobby shot in the head in the middle of a parking lot in death's door, and then in survival of the fittest. He's up at a whiteboard, presenting an actual rollout plan for drugging the human food supply so Leviathans can get a cleaner product. The additive scene is genuinely one of the nastiest things in 15 seasons of television because it takes the extinction of humanity and makes it sound like a quarterly initiative. He smiles through all of it. He's charming through all of it. Dean putting the bone weapon through him doesn't just feel like revenge for Bobby, though it's definitely that too. It feels like the universe saying no to the idea that something can be this efficient at evil and just keep running. Metatron. Metatron is infuriating in a very specific way because he causes enormous damage while presenting himself as someone who deserves sympathy. He manipulates Castiel in sacrifice, steals his grace, and uses the angel tablet to cast every angel out of heaven at once, all of them falling like comets, all because Metatron had a grudge and wanted to be the author of something big. That alone is enough. Then he keeps going. He sends Gadriel to kill Kevin in Holy Terror, and Kevin had already given up everything, and he dies in the bunker, in what was supposed to be the safest place Sam and Dean had. Then in Do You Believe in Miracles, Metatron stabs Dean in an alley and walks away, which sets off the Mark of Cain spiral and the whole Demon Dean disaster. What makes him so hard to watch is that he genuinely believes he's the smartest person in every room and that his suffering justifies everyone else's. He's not a tragic figure, he's a guy who turned loneliness into a weapon of mass destruction and expected a book deal for it. Azazel. It was always going to be Azazel. Every single thing that happens in this show traces back to him in some way. He's in Mary's nursery at the start of the pilot, and the reason he's there is that he made a deal with her years earlier. A deal that bought him access to her home and to Sam's crib so he could drip demon blood into a baby's mouth. He kills Mary when she walks in and catches him. He orders Jessica's death years later specifically to push Sam back into hunting. He runs the special children program across the country, visiting nurseries, feeding blood to infants, building a generation of psychic soldiers for hell. All hell breaks loose finally shows you the full scope of it. Kids gathered in Cold Oak, forced to fight, all of it designed to produce one survivor who'd open the Devil's Gate and let hundreds of demons and ghosts flood out at once. Azazel is patient in a way that's genuinely frightening. He doesn't rush, he builds. He shows up in the smoke at the end of Season 2 after everything he's set in motion, and Dean shoots him with the Colt while John's ghost holds him in place. That kill isn't just a boss fight. It's the show paying off the original debt, the first night, the fire on the ceiling, all of it. Some deaths are satisfying. That one is foundational. So that's 10 people who ran out of road and absolutely deserved to. Azazel built the whole nightmare from scratch. Metatron torched heaven because he was lonely and called it art. And every single one of the others left a damage trail wide enough to fill a season. Which one felt the most overdue to you? Drop it in the comments, and if you want the next list, subscribe. And tell us which supernatural villain got done dirty with a death that was way too easy.